I always loved comics, especially superhero comics. Like a lot of people, I grew up reading Superman, Batman, Captain America, all that good stuff. But my absolute favorite was Spider Man. So it's no surprise that I grew up to work with at a comic book store. That's not important though. You want to know about the story. Well, one day after work, I stopped off at a little rundown toy store. A guy that ran the place looked about nonchalantly, almost as if I wasn't there to look around. There were a few nice collectibles on the shelves, but what really caught my eye was a strange action figure. It was a Spider-Man action figure, but unlike any I've ever seen, it looked all red, its webbing patterns were disorganized. The spider was crooked and it looked like a real spider. Also, the lenses appeared to be broken. There were small painted-in cracks on the mask lenses that unnerved me a bit, but I still thought it was cool. I bought it for merely 50 cents, and a comic book was given to me for free. Comes with the figure, the store owner said. The only thing I ever heard from him say while I was there. I left and brought it home to my apartment. I set the toy on the shelf with the rest of my personal collection. Yes, I'm a nerd. Get over it. You're here for the story, right? Well, anyways, I took the comic book out of the bag and actually looked at it. It was creepy, to say the least. It looked like a homage of an Amazing Fantasy issue 15, Spider-Man's first appearance, and the title read, The Forgotten Spider-Man issue 0. It looked like the action figure, but the person he was holding looked limp. His head was on a natural angle. His eyes closed, and it didn't say who wrote or illustrated. No comics code, authority symbol, not even a Marvel logo. It started with Peter Parker as per exception, attending a radioactivity demonstration. I began to feel nostalgic as my eyes scanned with the panels. Spider-Man was caught on the radioactive energy. It landed on Peter's hand and bit him. That was normal, but when I noticed something weird, it was more frightening. Instead of just a bite, blood poured from the wound and it covered Peter's arm. He was screaming, begging for help as the others looked at him in horror. His body became covered in blood, reminiscent on the Carnage symbiote, and the strange black cords ripped from his wrists and ankles, wrapping into the disorganized web pattern that's as seen on the toy. The spider that bit Peter crawled onto his chest and became a part of his body. A scientist reached out to Peter, but Peter lashed out and attacked him, strangling the others with black webbing and mindless rampage. Suddenly I forgot that I was a 25-year-old man, and I looked like a frightened child, and whispered, Spider-Man? I continued reading. Spider-Man, if I could call him that, started brutally murdering people. The blood on the page was so deep shade of red, I almost thought that it was inked with real blood. I had to put it down. I was getting sick to my stomach. Then something caught my eye. I turned to see, sitting on top of the fridge was the toy. It crouched down on the trademark of Spider-Man pose. It was freaky. I had put myself on standing up straight. The cracked lenses looked at me, not just a position in my direction. It was literally looking at me. I don't know how, but I somehow knew I wanted to keep reading it. So I picked up and opened it again. Spider-Man was still killing, but what I only saw made it worse. He was making his way to his home, ripping off Mary Jane's head and beating people with her spine along the way. I was getting horrified, and then I felt a full splash panel. He reached into the house and he killed his Uncle Ben first, blind with rage, and then ripped his arm off, beating Aunt May to death with it. I was getting sick again. I could have sworn I heard laughing in the back of my mind. It was the end of the issue. I saw a preview for the next one, which showed Spider-Man holding what looked to be an Otto Octavius by the throat. I was grateful that the issue was over, but mortified by its contents. I turned back to look at the Spider-Man toy. It was gone. Then I felt the issue slip away in the fraction of a second. The toy was gone, taking the comic with it. I sighed with relief until a voice spoke in my mind in a cruel, mocking tone. Till next time, true believers. It's been a month since this happened, and I had learned from the artist, who had attempted to submit his work, a full horror Spider-Man themed comic book, to Marvel Comics, had died over exhaustion, never eating or drinking, only working till his body gave out. I learned this after searching up the Forgotten Spider-Man on the internet, and an article of the artist being the only thing I could find. There was an image of the artist's desks included in the article, showing an unfinished cover of the comic book I had read. I was still traumatized by the events to this day, but I couldn't help but feel bad for this artist. All he ever wanted was someone to appreciate his work. Now I suppose I'm that person, because I got mine in the mail today. Sent in an envelope with no return address. It was The Forgotten Spider-Man, Issue 1.